Hey everyone, it's Deja from Knit and Crochet Ever After. Today we are going to make these nesting bowls. You can see they fit right into each other and separate for putting all your knickknacks in. We're using t-shirt yarn, so very super bulky yarn, and then we're going to use an 11mm hook. So download the pattern below and we will get started. Okay, so to start the basket, we're going to do something a little different. So instead of a magic adjustable loop, we are going to work into some chains. Because this yarn is so thick, trying to get a completely closed hole on the bottom of the basket is almost impossible. So instead of having to mess with our magic adjustable loop, we're going to do something really easy. So you see I put a slip knot on my hook already, and now I'm just going to chain two. So I'm going to yarn over, grab my yarn, pull it through the loop on my hook, and do one more. And then what I'm going to do, instead of doing 6 single crochets into a magic adjustable loop, I'm going to do 6 single crochets into this first chain I made. So I'm skipping the second chain and I'm working into that first chain. So I'm going to insert my hook in there, yarn over, kind of lay over my yarn, pull up a loop, and do my single crochet. I'm doing that 5 more times, and that's going to push all my stitches into a circle. But now I don't have to mess with pulling my loop closed. It's not going to, I don't have to worry about that magic adjustable loop. You can substitute this for the magic adjustable loop whenever you want. Just know that you will have a hole, but you can kind of sew it up at the end. You can use this tail down here and kind of go across and kind of pull it closed as you, when you do your weaving in. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need one more. And now round one, I always say row for rounds. Round one is complete. Okay, so for round 2, we're going to just start single crocheting again. We're not joining rounds, so that way we don't have any kind of seam in the basket. But we're going to do 2 single crochets into each of our 6 stitches. So it's going to give us 12 at the end. If you're not used to figuring out where hooks go and stuff, if you're brand new, just use the tops of your stitches as a guide. So each one looks like the letter V. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one right here is where I need to put my hook. So you can count back your stitches to figure out where to start. So I go under both loops, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and do my single crochet. Then I'm going to go right back into that hole, and it's made a little bit bigger by that last stitch I did, so it's easy to get into. And I'm going to go again. Now this hook is a little small for this yarn on purpose, so it gives it nice structure. The only problem with that is getting into your stitches. So you'll see that I'm wiggling and jiggling to get through. So just kind of work with it to get through your stitches. It's a little tougher, but it'll give your basket or your container or whatever you're working on nice shape. So again, I go back into that stitch. One trick though to get through the loops on your hook is to yarn over, point your hook at the stitches, and it gets through them nice and easy. So again, I'm going under both loops, pulling up a loop, pulling both on your hook, back in. And one thing that I should have done, which I'm going to do right now, is put a stitch marker in that very first stitch I made so I can tell where I did. Try not to forget, like me, if you're not used to crocheting. But when I see 2 stitches into one stitch, such as right here, so I can see that this one is my very last stitch of the first round, and then here I have 2 stitches that I worked into one stitch, so I know right here is my very first stitch. So let me get a stitch marker here, and then I'm going, so where I just said, yeah. That way I can keep track of my rounds and I know when I'm supposed to end, so don't forget your stitch marker. So I have 1 stitch into this stitch. I can see that if I pull on it, I only have 2 little loops going into that stitch. Each 2 loop is 1 single crochet, so I need to put another one in there. And then I just have 4 more. So at the end, I should have 12 stitches if I place that stitch marker correctly. So I like to count the tops of my stitches, especially when it's single crochet, because it can be difficult to see the fronts of your stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I did it right, thankfully. And I can move on to round 3. We're going to keep on increasing, but we're going to do some single crochets in between. So this is going to be the pattern. We're going to single crochet twice in our next stitch. So that very first one. And I'm not going to forget to put my stitch marker. I'm just going to do both of my single crochets first. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the stitch after. Under both those loops, pull up a loop, single crochet. So again, we're going to do 2 in our next stitch, and then 1 in the stitch after. Hopefully this squeaky yarn is not bothering you too much. And then we're going to do that again 4 more times to get all the way around. So we will have 18 stitches at the end of this round. Alright, round 3 is done. We're ready for round 4. Still increasing. Same kind of stuff as before. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in that first stitch. And then put our stitch marker back in. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of our next 2 stitches. So we keep on increasing by 6 stitches, which is what you usually use for single crochet to keep it flat. And we kind of want the bottom of our basket to be flat. So that's our pattern. We're going to do 2 single crochets in our next stitch. And then 1 single crochet in our next 2 stitches. So continue that pattern around. Just check the actual pattern if you need help remembering, and we'll meet up at the end of this round. Okay, 1 more stitch for this round. And then we're on to round 5, which we are increasing again. It's our last round of increasing for this basket. And then we can move on to just making it bigger. So again, 2 single crochets in the first stitch. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So again, just increasing by 6. At the end of this round, we will have 30 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 again. And 3. Not 3 in one, but 1 in the next 3. And then we do that another 4 times until we get back to the beginning. Okay, last stitch of round 5. We have 30 stitches, and now we are just going to single crochet around. So make sure that you are putting your stitch marker, and then you're just going to single crochet around. Close for 30 stitches for round 6, and also 7, 8, and 9, but we'll come back after 6 because a lot of people, I get messages sometimes where they're like, it doesn't look like a basket, it's still flat. So I wanted to show you after this round what it's going to look like. So just single crochet and we'll meet back at the beginning. Okay, so I finished round 6, and you can see that it's starting to cup up a little bit. It's still not totally bowl shape, so don't worry. It takes a couple rounds for it to really get into the bowl shape. We are going to go ahead and do rounds 7, 8, 9, and 10 on our own because it's all the same. We're just single crocheting in each stitch around. Just don't forget to put that stitch marker back in and you'll be good to go. And just for reference, it's not, you know, an automatic rule, but it is kind of the way it goes is that the right side, which is the side we're making our stitches on, is the outside of the bowl, and then the wrong side is the inside. If you like the wrong side, you can move it to the outside. Totally up to you. But just so in case you're wondering, because I have some people be like, am I supposed to be crocheting on the outside or am I supposed to be crocheting on the inside? Whatever's more comfortable for you, you know, if you like crocheting it with it, you know, tilted in, perfectly fine. Even if you want that on the outside, you just pop it to the outside when you're done. So crochet it however you want and display it however you want. But technically the correct way is with the right side facing out. Okay, so we'll meet up after round 10 and take a look at our finished. All right, on the last stitch of round 10, and then we're ready to fasten off. So to fasten off, we're going to do a slip stitch in our next stitch, and that just kind of brings it down, because if I just fastened off right now, I would have this big gap from this stitch to this stitch. So by doing a slip stitch in my next stitch, so just enter under both loops, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook. It kind of brings it down so it's not as noticeable and keeps it a little bit more in line so it's not such a jump. And then once we weave it in, it will help bring it down even more. And I just need some scissors. So make your tail long enough that you can weave in easily. You're going to need a fat needle. I'm like, what are those called again? A fat needle to weave in those ends. But we have our nice thick first basket, and then we are going to make the next one a little bit bigger so this one can fit inside, and then one more bigger than that. So let's okay, so to do our medium basket, we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to chain 2, do 6 single crochets in the first round, and it's basically just a repeat of the small bowl. So you're going to work up through round 5 where you have 30 stitches total. So we're just increasing the exact same way, so you can just kind of rewind the video if you need a refresher on the first 5 rounds. Otherwise, we are going to meet up at round 6 for one extra round of increasing that we're going to do before we start making the even rounds for our bowl. So just go ahead and do the same exact thing that you did for the small bowl for this bowl up to round 5, and then we'll come and back. Worked all the way up through round 5, and I've actually almost finished round 6, which is going to be the different round from our previous bowl. This one is just going to be another increase. So I'm going to show you the very last repeat of that increase, but this is what you're doing all the way around the circle 6 times. So you're going to single crochet 2 times. So we're just increasing one more round before we start our regular bowl instructions. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So we're just increasing another 6 stitches. We're doing 2 single crochets in one, and then 1 single crochet in the next 4. So you do that all the way around, and then you're ready for round 7, which is going to be our plain and easy round, and the rest of the rounds after that are all plain and easy. We're going to do 6 rounds total of just single crocheting. So 36 stitches around, just single crocheting. Make sure that you're keeping track. Keep sticking that stitch marker back in there. And it's going to be round 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. So 6 rounds total, and then we'll come back and look at our bowl, and then we will get started on our large. Okay, I've finished up through round 12. The basket or bowl is complete, so I'm just going to do a slip stitch to finish it off, just to bring the edge down a little bit. And then I'm going to fasten it off. And cut my end so I can weave in. Now we've got 2 of our 3 baskets done. So you can see my previous basket fits right inside. Very nice. And now we are going to move on to the large basket, which will also be in the blue. Okay, so for our large bowl, we're going to be doing the same exact thing. We're just going to be increasing for many rows. We're going to start off with our chain 2, and you're just going to follow the same instructions for the medium bowl up to round 6. So right where we left off, or where we stopped increasing our medium bowl, is where we're going to meet up. I can't single crochet. Where we're going to meet up for this bowl, because we'll need to increase one more round past that to, ensure that these are nesting. So just keep following those instructions in the pattern. It's going to be the same as our medium bowl, same as the small bowl. Just keep increasing every round, and then we will meet up on round 7. Okay, I've finished round 6, so I have 36 stitches, and then I'm moving on to round 7, where we're going to do one more increase before we start making the rest of our bowl. So we're going to do 2 stitches in the first stitch, just like we've always been doing. And then we're going to do 1 stitch in each of the next 5 stitches. So if you notice, it just increases those single crochets, increase by 1 on every round. So we're going to do 5 of those, and then we're just going to repeat that 5 more times. So 2 single crochets in our next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in each of our next 5 stitches. Okay, 1 more stitch to go, and then I'm ready for my even rounds. So I'm going to do 7 even rounds, so 7 rounds of 42, because I have 42 stitches now. So just single crocheting around, just like we've been doing on all of our other bowls. There, it's rounds 8 through 14, so 7 total. I'm going to meet up with you after all of those are done, because it's basic. Just keep single crocheting and don't forget to put your stitch marker in. And then we'll come back and weave in our ends and check out our finished bowls. Okay, I'm at the end of round 14, all done with this bowl. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch like I've been doing to bring the edge down. And then I'm going to fasten off. And then I'm going to weave in my ends, and we'll come back and check out our finished bowls. Alright, I've got all 3 bowls done. You can see how they nest inside of each other and then just pop right out to start holding whatever it is that you want them to hold. Super easy project. If you have any questions, leave them below, but thank you for watching.